Welcome to the rosanamod Variety Pod. This is your vessel and host, Rosanamod, aka rosanamod, and this is Monday Meditations. Today, I want to talk about knowing how to read your signs. Do you have signs? Do you think you do? We all do. I believe we are all given success if we know how to get there on our own. We're given signs and directions and clues to get this success. For example, life, in my opinion, is like a treasure hunt in a way. It's like we're thrown all these opportunities at us from the universe, and we're supposed to know exactly where to go and what to do to pick these things up and these little clues that lead us through a labyrinth of some kind until we attain a goal, which is success and happiness for our life. I think that a lot of us miss those opportunities and clues because we don't know how to read the signs or know how to read the clues, or we're afraid to risk. And that's always a problem, fear, as I've already discussed in my previous episodes of fear. So how do we know what signs mean? Do you know how to read your signs? Do you know when it is a sign? Let's look at this example. You are going about your day, nothing new, and you're thinking about this person in your mind. And then all of a sudden, you get a phone call, wrong number, or the same first name of the person you were just thinking. Coincidence? Or was it a sign? Here's another example. You are working at your job, and this new girl gets hired, and you start talking, and she's from an old neighborhood that you used to live at. But the more you start talking to her, the more you realize this person who came from a totally different state, like on the other side of the country, was living in your old neighborhood. But not only was she living in your old neighborhood, she was the daughter of a neighbor that you knew, that lived directly next door to you. What are the chances of that? Is that a sign? Or is that a coincidence? And here's the last example. You're sitting there thinking about somebody that you loved, wondering, oh, whatever happened to that person? And then all of a sudden, you get an email from that person. And it was 30 years later. And he just sent you an email and said, hey, I was just thinking about you. Is that a sign? Or is that a coincidence? Just manifested itself. And that's really what it is. The movie The Secret, if you haven't seen it yet, please see it. Gives you a lot of an explanation on how we manifest thoughts into things, how we create our destiny and our lives based on the energy and the channel that we live in, the frequency that we live in. I know that sounds really weird to some people because when I first heard it, I thought the same thing. That's odd. That doesn't sound like a representation of my God or my religion. Me being a God-fearer and a God worshiper and a God warrior, I think that way. But then I think, why isn't God the universe? Why isn't universe God? Maybe it is the same thing. Maybe it's all in one. It's all encompassed into one deity that we as men created and separated for better and easier understanding of the human race. Something easier to grasp. Instead of saying the universe is God and God is the universe, we decided to separate these religions and put Catholics over here, Muslims over here, Buddhists over here, etc. It was easier to deal with that way because we are different people in different cultures and different countries, and we have to look at it that way. But if you look at all the cultures in the entire world as a collective, you're going to find a bottom common denominator. And that common denominator is we all believe in a God. May not be your God, may not be my God, but it still is a God. Maybe the universe, but is universe not God? Ask yourself these questions because if you think about it, it all starts to make sense. And it's like a puzzle that fits into each other. And if you move them around kind of like a Rubik's Cube, you're going to find that the colors and squares match and you keep spinning it, and it's all gonna come together. The signs are out there. You just have to learn to read them. So how do you learn to read these signs? Simple. First, you have to be open to believing that there are signs. Because if you walk in as a skeptic and say, I don't believe any of that, that's not true, you're then shutting down the possibility of anything, and that's not fair. That's limiting you. Don't limit yourself. You have to be open to accepting the differences of the world. So if you are open enough to accept the possibilities and you are open enough not to be so skeptical of what's out there. People talk about UFOs as though they don't exist for so many years, but now we're kind of seeing that maybe they do. It's like those things that you don't really see, but once you do see them, you still don't want to believe in it, because there's something in you that says it can't be. This can't be. Why though? Ask yourself why. Why do you deny what's happening? What is preventing you from accepting truth? Is it because you don't want to hear the truth? Why don't you want to hear the truth? Is it because it'll be painful for you? Why will it be painful for you? Do you understand? You have to keep breaking it down until you get to the very bottom core of what it is that affects you. What is your trigger? Why do you not want to believe truth? The truth is there. And the truth is, there are signs everywhere. I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe that coincidences happen that way, especially when they're often and when they come at you all the time, and especially when they happen the way that they do. All of these examples that I gave you before on coincidences of what if, all of those examples actually happened to me. And I was left asking myself, why? What do I need to do? Do I need to ignore it? Should I ignore it? What happens if I ignore it? Do I not make it to my ultimate goal if I ignore this? What happens if I miss this opportunity? I know it won't come again. It won't. I already mentioned that in another meditation. The chances are that a rare opportunity happened to you again are probably nil. The ones that work hard and that keep trying to gain access to the code or the sign that's given, they might prevail because they're trying harder. Will the universe treat them differently? Will the universe keep sending them more and more opportunities because they work harder or they fight harder? Maybe. I don't know the answer to that. But you yourself, you know the answer to your quest. Should be, and always should be, what am I missing? Should I go for it? Should I take that risk? Should I? What am I afraid of? Stop it, stop it. I think people try to put those pros and cons lists together because they're trying to talk themselves out of what they're afraid of. So when you try to talk yourself out of what you're afraid of, you put those pros and cons lists hoping that it will show up as a reason not to take a risk. Why? Because you're afraid to take the risk. Why are you afraid to take the risk? Again, you're afraid to take the risk because you don't know what lies ahead. Why don't you know what lies ahead? Because you're not a psychic. You have to take the risk. And this goes all the way back to the last meditation, which is, are you happy? Ask yourself that question, are you happy? If you're not happy, take the risk. You take the risk. What happens if you're not happy and you take the risk? What happens if I take the risk and I'm not happy? You're thinking of what ifs again. Another meditation, what ifs. But let's say, hypothetically, that you're given a sign and you take the risk and it fails. Completely fails. It's not what you wanted it to be. It's not what you expected it to be. You were let down. But then stop and ask yourself, what has changed? Because something changed. You shifted your frequency just now by accepting that challenge, by accepting that opportunity and taking that risk. You shifted your position. You are no longer standing in that same position where you were unhappy in the beginning. Now, you might be still unhappy, but you're stronger because you took that risk. You gained something from that risk that you took. You gained strength. You gained courage. What else did you gain? Experience. If it didn't work out, now you're ready for the next quest, the next clue, the next sign. What happens if you take that next sign, hypothetically, and oh my God, you fail? It's not what you thought it was going to be. This is the third time I'm taking a risk. I'm reading these signs and nothing's happening. I'm still unhappy. Are you? Okay. What have you gained? You gained more strength. You gained more courage. You gained more experience. You get stronger through each of these trials. And what happens is you get to a point where when the next sign comes up, you keep risking and you keep changing it because you're still not happy. You're going to finally end up in the ultimate place where you need to be. You're going to reach a place where you're going to be happy, where your success is going to come, where your happiness is going to come, where you're going to look in the mirror and find a whole different person looking back at you, unrecognizable from the person before in the beginning, before all this happened. Where friends are actually going to come up to you and say, hey, what's going on with you? You look different. You sound different. You sound confident. Because you took all these risks. You're like a fighter. You're a warrior. You're now spiritually honed into your light, your life, your love, the positive energy. You are sucking all that in. How good for you is that? That's amazing. Recognize that power that you have inside you to see those signs. Question everything. Question everybody. Don't sit and look at the news and watch people talk and hear things around you and say, oh, that's true. Is that what happened? That's true. You don't need that. Look at your life around you. Look at your friends and family around you. Look at what makes you happy and ask yourself, your body, your spirit, your soul, your human form, your vessel. Am I happy? No, I'm not. Then move on. Leave behind those suckers of life and happiness. Leave behind those leeches that suck you dry of all of your positive energy. Those vultures that feed on your essence, that feed off of everything that you have to offer. And that's a lot, because if you didn't have anything to offer, they wouldn't be around you. They're around you because you're attracting people to you. But there's a lot of people that don't need to be there. There's a lot of people that don't deserve you. Who are these people that don't deserve you? Read the signs. Are you feeling used? Are you feeling violated? Are you feeling cheated on? Are you feeling lied to? Why are you sitting there then? Why are you allowing these things to happen? You're the only one who can control your own space and your own universe. You are the only one responsible for your own life. Why are you allowing other people to suck you dry? You're giving them your power. You're giving them your energy. You're falling behind while they go ahead. How's that fair? Take a step back. Look at the whole situation. Look at your timeline. Look at your life journal. Get rid of these people that don't belong in your life. They're messing up your frequency. You're not being allowed to look at your signs. Then when you do have a sign that comes up and an opportunity that arises, you're not able to see it for what it is because you're clouded and you're allowing other people to cloud your vision. You don't need to do that. Focus, focus, focus. Pay attention to everyone that comes inside your circle. Pay attention to the people that you meet every day. Pay attention to who they are and what they do. Pay attention to where you go and where you get lost. Pay attention to literal signs as well as your mind signs. Pay attention to the time of day. Pay attention to the music that you hear. Pay attention to the words that you listen to. Pay attention to everything around you and observe life for what it is. No need to watch television and hear news about the world or what's happening around you. You are the journalist. You report on what's going on in your own life. You don't need the journalist to tell you what's going on. Listen to what's going on around you. Listen to what's happening. If you do this, you are going to be more open to the opportunities that await you, and more open and able to take the chance, take the risk, and make that decision of where you want to be and how you want to live the rest of your life. The rest of your life. How long is that? Do you know? I don't. You could be listening to this right now and be gone tomorrow. You could be listening to this and I'll be gone tomorrow. There are no guarantees. That's why it's so important for you to pay attention and be observant to everything that happens around you and everything that you hear and everything that you see. You hold that magic key to your own freedom and your own happiness and your own destiny. But the universe and God grant you the clues for you to find. So go on that treasure hunt today. Find the clues, set up the pathway, let your road open to new places that you've never been to. Be brave and be courageous. And you'll look back on this one day and say, I'm so glad that I didn't miss that opportunity. I'm so glad that I didn't. I'm glad that I took the chance. And whether or not it fails, you're still going to be glad because now you don't have to wonder what if. It won't exist because you tried it. From my house to yours, God bless you, and I'll talk to you soon.